Just to comment, earlier on, one of the deputies from the government side said Ireland has been most staunch on the question of Gaza. And that may be true, but it wouldn't be very hard because Europe has been so bad, so poor on it. In fact, I think the image of Ursula von der Leyen after the 6th of October literally running into the arms of Benjamin Netanyahu and declaring her undying love for him and his regime will remain with us all who are right-minded, humane people in Europe who care about the people of Palestine. And of course then you had the situation where Germany have froze aid funding for Gaza in the most awful circumstances of a humanitarian genocide, freezing aid funding from one of the wealthiest countries in Europe. And then you had Austria, Hungary, Czechia and Croatia voting against a ceasefire in Gaza in October 23, and in February 24, Hungary voting against an immediate ceasefire. So the reason I'm saying this is, here is the record of very powerful European countries and leaders. Germany, for example, sent more than 1,000 tank engines to Israel, and German-made diesel engines are used in the fighter vehicles that are produced in Israel. Italian companies sold armaments worth almost 120 million to Israel in the last 8 to 10 years. So here is a European Union that fully backs the genocide in Gaza in deed, rather than just in word, but in actual deed in what they do. And so when Micheál Martin says he's going to have the heads of bill ready to get rid of the triple lock, to bring Ireland into more PESCO-type arrangements with the rest of the European Union, to involve us in personnel training, to donate equipment, to increase our military spending so that we're in line with the EU and ready to protect ourselves and to support any amount of wars that may happen on the borders with Europe. And this is not to condone Putin's disgraceful aggressive war on Ukraine, but it is to say, where is it going to lead us? To align ourselves with those whom I talked about early on, who would throw the Palestinian people not just under a bus, but under Israeli tanks and under Israeli shells and under Israeli murderous, inhumane, now driving people towards famine, now when we have to watch little children literally dying when there's absolutely no excuse for it. And while all that goes on, we still allow Shannon Airport to be used for, most of the time, we don't know what. We do know it's costing us about 4 million a year, that it has been used since 2002, since the last war in the Gulf, to allow American military aircraft to come and go into the Middle East and carry out its murderous regime. We have to oppose the use of Shannon for military purposes if we are to be genuinely the most staunch, as was said by one of the government deputies there, on the question of Palestine and Gaza. We have to oppose that obscene use of Shannon and the cover-up that exists around it. We also have to oppose the idea that the triple lock can be dropped and that we can join forces and join arms with the likes of Germany, Italy and Ursula von der Leyen, who fully support the Israeli war on Gaza. Now, unless we do that, we are going to be endorsing genocide, famine, man-made famine, genocide and utter destruction like the 23 to 30 people who were killed last night trying to provide food aid to starving people, like the plans Israel has to invade the southern end of the Gaza Strip on foot, and like trucks that arrive into the convoys that arrive into Gaza without being blocked, who do arrive in, being absolutely fired upon, and the attempts to get food to people being blocked. So I think, you know, whatever we do in relation to the pre-European Council statements, whatever we do in relation to our involvement in the EU, we have to be the most staunch. If that is what the deputies are claiming, then we have to be even stauncher and make it very clear that we will not back a regime, a European Union militarisation regime, which wants to involve us in more wars, more weapons, more increasing spending on militarisation, and at the same time linking arms with Ursula von der Leyen and the Germans and others who fully endorse the behaviour of Netanyahu and the murderous regime in Israel. And that is a message that this government must give to the European Union.